Breaking news tonight, Sean Diddy Combs has been arrested in a Manhattan hotel this evening after a grand jury indicted the music mogul. His attorney tells CNN that he is currently being processed.
Now, Combs did not do this all on his own. As I mentioned, Combs has been charged with RICO conspiracy. He used his business and employees of that business and other close associates to get his way.
Welcome back, guys. I trust you've been staying safe. Now, Sean Puffy Combs, some would also call him Diddy or Puff Daddy, is in a very tight spot. A lot is going on with Diddy, and in this session we are going to look at exactly what is happening with Diddy, dating back to the past, the present, and the future, as far as the man some would call Puff Daddy or Sean Combs or p.diddy or Diddy is concerned. But trust you me, you wouldn't want to be this man at this time. Now, as at this time last year, Sean Diddy Combs had just released his 5th studio album titled The Love Album of the Great. The album was doing really well. It featured everyone from Justin Bieber to other top artists like John Legend, and even snagged a Grammy nomination for how good the album was. Now, to much of the public, Diddy, as his lawyer would put it, was a music icon and a self-made entrepreneur who had spent the last 30 years building an empire. Now, 30 years means 3 decades. So, this is somebody who arguably has paid his dues in the music industry. But then, a civil lawsuit alleging sexual and psychological inappropriateness from his ex-partner, Cassandra Ventura, also known professionally in the music industry as Cassie, would be the commencement of the downfall of Diddy. Now, in Cassie's lawsuit, a lot would come out, and Cassie's lawsuit would be the first of multiple similar civil cases filed against Diddy, with the recent one being filed as at the 25th of September 2024. In less than 12 months from there, Combs or Diddy has gone from being revered as a rap mogul or business entrepreneur or an actor to being under lock and key in one of New York City's most notorious prisons, facing charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. It must be stated that this channel does not support any forms of violence, and if you are facing any such thing, reach out to the appropriate authorities. But then, how did it come to this for Diddy? I will attempt to break it down, and it would highlight who Sean Combs is, his rise to fame, and where his whole life and fame could go from this point. And to understand the present and project into the future, we must first look to the past. So we start from the past, and I'm sure a question you would really be interested in finding an answer to is, who the hell is Diddy? Well, Sean Diddy Combs, who has gone by several names including Puff Daddy, p.diddy, and Love, is an American rapper, an actor, and entrepreneur who founded an entertainment empire, including Bad Boy Records, the clothing line Sean John, and Revolt TV, which has since announced a new ownership structure. Now, Combs was also the face of alcohol brand Ciroc Vodka, but then that deal ended in very strange circumstances. He was born in Harlem, in New York City, and was just 3 years old when his father, called Melvin Combs, was unalived after being mistaken for an informant during a drug deal gone bad. And Diddy would allude to this by stating in an interview he had with Revolt, I quote, "My father was a hustler. He was a drug dealer. So I learned early in life there was only 2 ways out of that, dead or in jail. Now, he went on to indicate that despite taking a different path from what his dad took, he still had his father's DNA. And he would go on to say that he has a hustler's mentality. And looking at the trajectory of Diddy's life and career, I would say rightly so. Now, he was nicknamed Puffy in his youth due to his habit of huffing and puffing wherever he was angry. But then, he changed his middle name from John to Love in 2021. And over time, we would realize that, yeah, indeed, he was really giving a lot of love to a lot of people, and some didn't even want it. Now, Combs dropped out of Howard University in 1990 to pursue an internship at Uptown Records. It would be a rapid rise at Uptown because before long, he was promoted to an A&R executive and later to the position of being the vice president. But then, how would Diddy build his empire from here? So, Uptown has been home to artists such as Mary J. Blige, Heavy D, and The Boys, and then Combs is said to have discovered the notorious B.I.G., aka Biggie Smalls, with his real name of course being Christopher Wallace. But then Combs would end up being fired from Uptown Records in 1993 by its founder, Andre Harrell. Speaking to this, Combs would say that, I quote, "I got fired because there can't be two kings in one castle." He said this while explaining to Oprah Winfrey on her show, saying that getting fired was one of the best things that could have happened to him. And I wouldn't argue with that because from there, he turned his attention to starting his own record label called Bad Boy Entertainment, and he took Biggie with him because after all, he discovered him. Now, from this point, in 1995, Biggie dominated the charts, making him Bad Boy's premier star. But on the 9th of March 1997, Biggie was unalived in an unsolved case amid an East Coast-West Coast feud. He was just 24 years old, and he met his untimely demise. A few months after this, Diddy, then Sean Puffy Combs, released his debut album No Way Out under the moniker Puff Daddy. The album included the Grammy Award-winning single I'll Be Missing You, a tribute to Biggie, which he featured Biggie's widow, Faith Evans, and sampled Every Breath You Take by The Police. No Way Out won Best Rap Album at the Grammys, and Combs snagged Best Rap Performance by a duo or group for the track I'll Be Missing You. So from this point, Diddy was on the high. Now he also dabbled in the silver screen at times. He played a death row inmate in the 2001 movie Monsters Ball, which starred Oscar winner Halle Berry. And he also played a role of an executive in the comedy titled Get Him to the Greek in 2010 opposite Russell Brand, and he was a sports agent in the 2014 football drama Draft Day. So that is the past for Diddy. Now let's come to the present. And in the present, we are first going to start by looking at what happened with the lawsuit filed by Cassie or Cassandra Ventura. Now, in November of 2023, singer Cassandra Cassie Ventura filed a lawsuit against Combs or Diddy, who happens to be her former partner. Now, a day later, the lawsuit was settled. It was so fast. In actual fact, it's one of the fastest settlement of lawsuits I have ever seen. Now, in that lawsuit, Cassie stated a lot of things, including the fact that she was 19 years old when Diddy met her, and Diddy at the time was 37 years old, and this was in 2005. So I think Diddy is quite old. He may be in his 50s actually as at now, but I guess the world keeps him younger. Now, according to Cassie, she signed to Bad Boy Records and was lured into an ostentatious, fast-paced and drug-fueled lifestyle and into a romantic relationship with Diddy, who at the time was one of the most powerful men in the entertainment industry. And this thing keeps repeating itself. It's always a trend where men who seem, or some men who seem to have some power in one industry or the other, are always looking to take advantage of the young, naive women or ladies who are trying to build a career in that industry. And I think that it is the most unfortunate thing any person can do. We've all been new at something before, vulnerable before. What if the person who supported you or is supposed to support you decided that he or she is going to take advantage of that naivety? If you're watching this video, if you're ever in a position where you have to help out somebody who is starting out or support a naive person to become more learned and experienced, don't see it as an opportunity to take advantage of the person. It can bring you crashing from your high horse to the very bottom. I digress. Now, Cassie alleges, among other things, that Combs had forceful encounters with her, and he would sometimes get very physical with her. And she also alleges that he forced her into a whole lot of things, trafficking, and even at the point hiding a firearm in her purse. To this, Diddy would deny all allegations, but when CCTV footage was broadcast by CNN showing Combs being physical on Cassie in a hotel corridor, he apologized for his behavior in the footage. But it doesn't end there. Combs is also accused of organizing and overseeing some deadly and devastating and disgusting freak-offs. Now, Cassie alleges in that lawsuit that within a few months of their romantic relationship, Diddy told her he wanted to engage in a fantasy of his called voyeurism, and that it will turn him on to see her with another man. In an encounter that lasted multiple days, according to Cassie, Diddy would hire some men and he would sort of direct the traffic on how they should be with Cassie whilst they are being intimate. And I don't know, as sickening as it is, it seemed to pleasure him. Now, the lawsuit stated that Combs referred to the arrangement as a freak-off or a fool. Cassie would indicate that he would repeatedly tell her at random moments that he wanted to engage in one, and that she was expected to facilitate the location and hiring of the men who would partake in it with her. This is very unfortunate, actually. And even though that lawsuit was settled, it seems to get the ball rolling on everything that will descend on Diddy as far as these allegations are concerned. Because fast track from that, Diddy would face a whole barrage of attention from the security authorities, because in March of 2024, just about 5 months after Cassie had filed her lawsuit and it had been settled just after 24 hours, US authorities would raid Diddy's properties in Los Angeles and Miami as part of an ongoing sex trafficking investigation by federal authorities in New York. Now, Combs' lawyers said that the raids were a gross use of military-level force. Now, for me, I would not agree or disagree with them. Rather, I respect the fact that most often than not, the police or the security agencies don't just do anything for its doing sake or just do anything anyhow. There's always a reason. And we would find out later that when they raided, they found several things in his home, some of which were deadly. So for me, in hindsight, I would say that the gross use of that military level force was actually seemingly warranted. It would be another 6 months from there before Combs was arrested in New York on the 16th of September 2024. Now, as we speak, Combs is still under arrest. But the question is, what is he being charged for? Now, Diddy, or Love, or Sean Puffy Combs, whichever you choose to call him, has been charged with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion and transportation to engage with prostitution, according to his unsealed indictment. In a press conference, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, called Damian Williams, said that the charges dated from 2008 to the present. And this is the fascinating thing about when law enforcement is coming for you, especially in the US. They don't just get up and move, like I said. They take their time to build the case. And usually, it sometimes seems like the last bit of their move is to come for you. So by the time they come for you, they have a solid case built up and stacked up to put on you. And hardly would anybody be in a position to beat the case. If you have good lawyers, you may beat some of the charges that are being leveled against you, but hardly would you beat all the charges. And I don't think Diddy is in a position to beat even one, dare I say. But hey, I could be wrong. I'm not the legal expert here. But in a press conference, Damian Williams, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, indicated that these charges dated as far back as 2008 through to the present in 2024. Now, the indictment, among other things, alleges that Diddy abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. And also, to carry out this conduct, Sean Combs, or Diddy, led and participated in racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity, including trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice. The federal charges against Combs also included details about the alleged freak-offs that Cassie mentioned in her lawsuit. Now, according to the indictment, victims were allegedly given illegal substances to keep them compliant, that the sessions were frequently recorded without the victim's knowledge or consent, and those recordings were used to silence victims. This is one of the things that is very disgusting. So it's as if people were being set up, recorded, and blackmailed. The indictment, among other things, also alleges that the freak-offs were so intense that IV fluids were often administered to victims after freak-offs to help them recover from exertion and drug use. And if you are sitting at home and you are watching this video or listening to me, imagine what goes on behind the scenes before some of these music videos will come out. Those songs you enjoy, the artists that you hail so much. This is what some of them might have faced just to get to the pedestal where they would be the glorious stars you adore and worship. If you ask me, I don't think it's worth it. I digress. Now, when the police raided Diddy's apartments or houses, they found a lot of things. Amongst them, the press conference was revealed that firearms and ammunition were seized at Diddy's property during the raids that the authorities conducted in March. Now, this included 3 defaced AR-15 machine guns and a large capacity drum magazine. Evidence of the freak-offs were also seized, including electronic devices that contain images and videos of the freak-offs with multiple victims and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Now, this is the punchline of the freak-offs, the 1,000 baby oil conundrum, dare I say. Why would Diddy need 1,000 bottles of baby oil? If it's even being shared 1 bottle to 1 person, that makes it a total of 1,000 people. And what were the baby oils being used for? Okay, now let's get into the future of this case. And the question that begs to be asked is, will Diddy get out on bail? Well, the answer seems likely to be a big no, because Diddy has been denied bail twice. His legal team offered up to $50 million, the equity of his mother's Florida home, and the passports of his daughters as security, since his own passport was taken in April, but all that was not accepted. And I think it goes to show the extent to which law enforcement is not trying to play around with this case and Diddy. Now, part of the reason bail was refused was because Combs allegedly has a history of intimidating victims and witnesses, including brandishing firearms to intimidate or threaten others. And also, he has been allegedly accused of, at a point in time, slicing up a car's convertible top to drop a Molotov cocktail inside, causing the car to explode just to send across a point. So, with the bail being denied, Diddy is currently incarcerated at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York. The center has previously housed R. Kelly, Ghislaine Maxwell, and the cryptocurrency fraudster Sam Bankman-Fried. It is not yet clear when Diddy will go to trial or when his next court date would be, but the case is still ongoing, and it is likely that there are going to be several more lawsuits that will be leveled against Diddy, because as it stands now, a lot of people are getting bolder and coming out to speak on this case. But then the question is, what would happen to Diddy if he is found guilty? I guess that is the million-dollar question. Well, if convicted of sex trafficking charges, Diddy would face a minimum sentence of 15 years in prison. But however, if the racketeering conspiracy charge is successful and he is convicted, he could see a life sentence being leveled against him. And if it gets to that point, then I guess we are not seeing Diddy again. He would be in a similar situation like R. Kelly. And there is also something, a law that goes back several decades that is going to work against Diddy in this case, just like it worked against R. Kelly. I will put out a video after this one on that to get into that law and how it affects Diddy and R. Kelly in this unique case of theirs, just because of the race of some of the female victims in that case. If you are interested, just go to my playlist after this video and you would have the information in that video. But it's not just Diddy that is facing all these charges and is facing the heat for these allegations, because as it stands now, members and associates of the Combs enterprise who engaged in and allegedly attempted to engage in, among other activities, the trafficking, the forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion, and enticement to engage in prostitution, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice, are all going to face various forms of brushes with the law. And so far, several victims have been interviewed, with several more scheduled to be interviewed. And it looks like other people will be roped in to answer for these crimes that are coming out, because it seems like it's not just Diddy who was allegedly masterminding and executing this, but he had help in various forms, and he had participants who are equally co-conspirators and also alleged accessories to whatever Diddy is also being accused of. I foresee this case coming to an end and dragging a lot of famous people who are worshipped worldwide down into a hellhole with Diddy if the charges stick. What do you think about this? I believe that toe the right path. It may be difficult, but don't lose yourself. Don't lose your dignity. Preserve yourself. You don't have to lose your dignity and your worth by engaging in certain disgusting things, all in the name of achieving fame. So far, there are so many rumors going around about people who have been victimized by Diddy in some of the most disgusting ways, which I wouldn't talk about here because I'm yet to confirm the veracity of some of those allegations. But I'm following the case keenly as and when there are any updates. Trust you me, I'm definitely going to bring this. But hey, if you haven't subscribed, please don't do this to me. Go back and subscribe to the channel. Please, just subscribe to the channel. Help us reach 3,000 subscribers before the end of 2024. I'll catch you on the next one.